No, 2 fouls.
Foul? I didn't touch anybody.
Look, Jackie, people can't just go flying in the air like that.
Please, my mom wouldn't cheat in my dreams.
What?
It can't be a foul without touching another player, and it can't be traveling without first establishing a pivot foot.
That's right.
2 points, Father Pat. It is 2 points.
All right, I'm gonna allow it.
That's the gospel.
2 points, Flint.
I don't know what the goddamn problem is. Maybe you all don't know how serious 2K is. Maybe you all just don't give a fuck. You all probably think you can live your lives cavity-free, okay? Never giving 2 shits about the plaque that's building on your teeth. You've been told to brush and to floss, but do you really know the importance behind it? Do you?
Oh, recording live from 3. Count them 3 locations. This is Past the Rest. I am Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by 2 great men. Caesar, aka LC's.
Back from Guantanamo Bay yet again, fellas. I had to serve
in the red light district.
No. I had too much to drink, and he was on patrol, and
I think he's asking if you're currently in the red light district.
Oh, well, not to dox myself, but I do live near Harry Hines, so
it does look like you just went and got super tanned on the beach for like a week and then came back.
No, sir. It's just the lighting that I got. I can't do nothing about that.
Jacob, aka Bethke,
who might arguably have too bright of a light in his face right now, but I'm gonna keep letting it happen. It's not as bright in real life, but it feels like it projects as brighter. I don't know. Lighting as a concept truly is an art.
Also, yeah, we've got 3 different internets running into one thing, trying to, I don't know. I bet if we're all sitting in one room, that light probably looks a lot better. But yeah. So obviously last week I had to cut short because I had some tooth pain, which turned into some real tooth pain.
You were trying to play through the pain a little bit.
I was watching back through the 30 minutes we did, and I'm just holding my face the whole time.
You gave it the best attempt you could, but
yeah, if I didn't have to talk, I could have sat around for longer, but moving my mouth really hurt. But yeah, so just a quick Patrick service announcement. Brushing your teeth is important, and I did have 2 teeth extracted on Friday, and I'm gonna have to go back in a couple weeks and get some more taken out on the other side.
Oh, fuck.
But that's enough about that. We got a lot to get to. I did have 2 quick notes that I wanted to bring up before we get into kind of our bigger main staples. Tonight, Jamie Benn, the captain of our Dallas Stars, he's going to be setting the record for the most games played in Dallas or for Dallas. Madonna has the overall franchise record, but that obviously includes some games in Minnesota. So just counting actual games played as a Dallas Star tonight, Jamie Benn takes that mantle and truly becomes the captain of this franchise for real, kind of to some degree. If he wins a cup, that'll be cemented that way because he's kind of been the guy for it's been 10 years now. So
yeah, the argument's pretty easy to make, obviously, because as much as Mike Madonna was able to complete the ultimate goal here,
this might be it's tough to say because Madonna does have some incredible numbers. But yeah, it might be like a little mini MJ LeBron type discussion of.
Well, here's my stupid man.
Madonna meant so much outside of just on the ice.
I'm just talking in a Dallas sports sense of the word, which is, obviously the part of the Stars representation. I harp on that often. The city brand, we don't want to lose that in the modernizing of professional sports. We want to try to hold in as much of the civic pride that started this as you can, right? So I think for the Stars and the fans, especially people like me who are fans of the Dallas Stars because they are in Dallas. You are a Dallas fan. You are in the city of Dallas, but you don't necessarily have that much hockey background, whatever. The name of course, if you know Madonna, but if you're not really even that aware, you probably know Ben because that's probably the only name in the jersey you've seen your whole life, right?
I wonder between him and Sagan, which one you might have heard more about. But
I think with Sagan, the problem
'Cause Sagan's
is
got the
people would
body
be afraid
issue.
of say his name though. If they don't know hockey that well, they'd be like
Seguin.
Sengun.
Seguin, Tyler
But
Seguin.
when they see Ben, they're like, it's Ben. Yeah, Ben. Yeah,
fair.
of course, it's Ben. So I know that's just simplifying it to the nth degree.
No, I mean that makes sense, and obviously that's a perspective I don't have, so it's good to.
I do think that's how a lot of the general sports audience and the civic nature of it is.
And it's hilarious, especially if you do know anything about the Stars, about Jamie Benn, because as they call him on the ticket, he's very much low energy Jamie Benn, kind of, just talks like this, and he doesn't really get.
Probably.
But then on the ice, sometimes he's cross-checking guys in the neck, so who knows? But
yeah, he's a gentleman off the ice and a goon on it.
He walks that line for sure. Modern day, they might call him that, but
Well, I would prefer that.
Yeah, but he's very well respected, even though a bunch of people want to talk trash. He did get the mention in Letterkenny as one of the toughest captains in the NHL. And that means something,
Pop culture references are always good.
And for hockey, Letterkenny is pretty much.
Did they mention Dallas Stars?
No, they were just talking about the captains.
They need to specifically mention that next time. Jerry puts it in all the contracts. They need to learn this stuff.
It's fine when you hear his name. There's no other team to think of. So
no, that's true, and obviously that's a big
part of
topic in sports all over.
Yeah, so all that's really missing now for him is obviously the cup. That might be the difference between a statue and not a statue. Sadly,
perhaps
Morrow didn't get one, and that's tough because he was the captain during some of the worst years possible.
That's true.
Bankruptcy, league getting involved in ownership, that kind of thing.
There were a lot of years where it felt like I was hearing how high should the Stars sell on this guy kind of conversations.
Yeah, and Morrow, looking at this list, he is 6th in the franchise all time in games played. So your 3 most recent captains obviously should all be up there, and then Hatcher as you go back further, the captain before Madonna, obviously. Those are all the guys with 800 plus games basically for the franchise. Yeah, so that's exciting.
Wait, when did Minnesota get it?
When did they move?
No, when did they get the team?
When did the North Stars establish? 67?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So they're in that little boom.
So yeah, 67 and 93 in Minnesota. Dang, they've actually been in Dallas longer now? Yeah, longer. That's crazy. Yeah. They were only there for that's
means technically they're ours forever now, Minnesota.
Yeah, they're happy they finally got a team, even though it hasn't done anything yet, but that's okay.
It's arguably a lame name too. Like I don't hate it, but I'm also like,
great for me 'cause I can call them the mild.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem. You don't want that's. It's like good luck Minnesota.
Yeah.
In all sports really, but specifically this
state of hockey, man. But from there we'll move on to something with a little bit of transitional value here as we kind of soft lead into hoops. We got the tweet from Phoenix Suns owner Matt Ishbia.
Yeah,
Ishbia.
correcto.
I keep wanting to put the I before the B.
Ishbia.
Yeah. Ishbia.
Well, whenever he came out, people were calling him Ishiba.
Okay, I can see that.
So
too.
that I think that also didn't help anybody. Wait, thought I had the right button. No, where's the right button?
As we watch and listen to Jacob try to figure out a moving desk, I think.
Yeah.
So the Suns put up a new value menu for their concessions.
Hell yeah, they did.
I was gonna pop it up here, but it's not really that cool to look at. So basically, they slashed hot dogs, 16-ounce bottles of Dasani, 16-ounce fountain sodas, bag of chips, and bag of popcorn, all to $2. From the hot dog was $9 down to $2.
Was it you said every home game?
It looks like it, yeah. I mean, if you know anything about if you've ever worked in a restaurant or fast food, you've seen those bags of soda that they're using in fountains.
Yep.
And if you look at the pricing on that, I don't know if you've ever done any inventory.
I didn't. I actually never
making-
have. I've worked at Sonic
they're
and then Del
making-
Frisco's. Well, I've worked at many restaurants that have had to do that, actually, not just Del Frisco's, but I've never once.
Well, I
looked
guess, yeah, if you're not on the management side, you might not ever see it. I did some
replaced them plenty of times.
managing it,
Oh yeah.
quote unquote, managing at Taco Cabana, so I got a little insight.
Hell yeah.
They are even at $2 for that 16 ounce. They are just getting a killing back on that profit margin.
How much is it really? How much should it really cost?
Man, pennies. Just because of the bulk they're buying, and they're getting these like 5-gallon, and they might even get bigger stuff at something like that. I don't really know how their concessions work. But I mean, if you're buying one of those 5-gallon bags for next to nothing already, then selling that out for
Which, by the way,
at
y'all know how
$2 to $10 a pop apparently.
People are
Y'all-
bitching about
y'all
those on
remember
me.
how those 5-gallon bags came into those,
Yeah, the
cardboard,
box,
whatever.
little punch hole.
And- Yeah, and it'll tell you, do not stab or do not puncture or whatever. Well, one day at work, yeah.
Punctured.
I did the puncturing, and y'all were long gone at this point from Dell's. But you know what? We did all the batching for the VIPs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I had to steal a whole bunch of those because they were not big enough for all that. Just all that Dr.
Hilarious.
Pepper syrup just everywhere.
Gross.
How did you puncture the?
Don't ask questions that I don't want to answer.
He was using a knife to try to open it, is what it sounds like, but
Perhaps.
You used. That's crazy, bro. You could just
gotta,
like.
you gotta really get that thing. It's pretty thick.
Yeah, and so I thought, I'm like, all right, I can do this just fine. Just don't go too deep in with the knife.
What
It'll
about your
be okay.
keys? You can put the keys with the.
You see, just that didn't
Just
cross my
cardboard,
mind. All
right?
right, it was a
Yeah.
busy shift. I was just
You,
like,
you got to do the heart technique, heart punch.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And so anyway, I stabbed. I'm like, oh, good. I didn't puncture the bag. Pull out the knife, and I just see a little bit just on the tip of the blade. I'm like, oh shit! And then
you
just
just
like,
stand it up.
I respect you for doing that. I feel like most people would have probably tried to throw that bitch away
just
and
toss
bury
it.
it.
Yeah, it's gone.
tried to save it. There was no saving it, but we tried.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously this is great for everybody. No matter how much money you have when you go in there, it's ridiculous to be spending that amount on some of these concessions.
No, I
as it is.
disagree. I think if you make a certain amount of money, you have to be charged the regular price.
No, because you paid for stupidly
No.
expensive tickets already.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, I just went to Jerry World, obviously, not that long ago. It was not the worst I've experienced.
Jerry World's probably better than Globe Life, I would bet.
Depends. Yes, Globe Life is crazy because Whataburger, you can drop like $30 on like a couple things at Whataburger.
Oh, I'm just talking regular, just concessions, not even all the fancy nonsense.
No, the worst thing I ever had was when Payman and I got bottom level seats one time, and at the Cowboys game, and I bought drinks because he got the seats, and I was like $50 a drink essentially, but they were doubles, and they were the strongest thing
Is
I'd
that
ever.
Jerry World?
This is at Jerry World, and it was the base level. I don't know if this pricing's different. I don't know how it works. They gave me 2 gin and tonics that were like 75% gin. And I was appalled at the price at first, but then I
You
was
realize
like,
you're probably paying for like 4 drinks at a time instead of 2.
basically, I paid for my
Yeah.
entire. I know I paid for the entire game. We watched. That was the game where Amari Cooper wins in overtime against the
Well,
Eagles.
no,
It
I'm
was-
just saying, like, you buying that one drink is the value of you buying multiple drinks, not having to go back.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, literally, those 2 lasted us the entire game.
Oh.
We couldn't sip it
Oh.
faster.
If it was, yeah, I was gonna say if it was that strong, I'd be like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna grab
dog.
a couple more of these real quick. But
They're like, go get some more tonic.
honestly, the Texas Live, having Texas Live has made that a lot nicer for me. 'Cause Texas
Yeah.
Live, decent prices. The AAC is not great. It's like $20 for a double, just Jack or whatever. But
Yeah. No,
but if you know
AAC I've
people,
never had
they
too
might
much of a
only-
problem.
They might only charge you like $5 for a quadruple.
Rangers used to, the old stadium used to be good. I used to basically, there was like a certain beer that you could keep drinking, I think, for a certain refill price at
Makes
the
sense.
upper levels.
I bet the Carbach probably has something like that too. If you go
And-
to their little Corner hut.
But you could also get sodas too for like way cheaper. So like I would basically chug like 3 beers and then go chug a Powerade and then chug 3 and then have 3 more beers in the same cup, man. Just up at the 100 degrees at the top of that fucking stupid ass hot stadium.
Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot of drinking at that stadium. A lot more at Globe Life.
Probably watching fucking Matt Harrison.
Hey, you could be seeing a lot worse than Matt Harrison at that stadium. But yeah, just again, this is great. I think the Falcons kind of have already done this at their stadium, Mercedes-Benz or whatever over there in Atlanta. Hope to see some more people follow suit because it is just an easy way. Like I would absolutely be more willing to go to more games. Literally, if they do that, like that cuts, a quarter.
To me, that opens the door more for season ticket packages as much as anything, because now I can, invest in this season ticket package, potentially make my money back on games I don't go to, or just get enough games that I know I will go to, and I don't feel like I'm going to have an obligation to spend $100 a night every time I go out, so it's easier. And
yeah, for me, I know that's I'm going to be buying soda and a snack. So versus instead of me getting, one $9 hot dog, I might end up getting like 8 $2 hot dogs, spend more, but I get a lot more hot dog.
Just a shit ton of fucking nachos.
Dude, I can't believe the Rangers still do $1 Dog Night. I will give them that. That's an incredible value.
And anywhere that has all you can eat stuff is not awful.
I don't know how that works at the new stadium. I think that section.
The old stadium had an awesome situation because it was in the home run deck. Like you got to sit in that little, and it had the buffet behind.
It was. I remember that like TGI Fridays or whatever.
It might have been. It looked
that
like a TGI Fridays.
It used to be a restaurant. It rotated a bunch. Just at one.
It could have passed as that.
It was definitely a few, but it was like the upper home run.
A friend of the program, Tyler Owens, would always stay on the lookout for those $50 for all you can eat seats because you're in the home run deck. We would usually get the ones that were too high for any human being to actually hit to us, but we obviously got hit to quite often, so it was cool to at least be there and be like, oh fuck, that ball's coming at us, and die way close.
A buddy of mine back when you used to like be able to print paper tickets and stuff, they'd all buy upper 300 nothing tickets, and then one person would buy the all you can eat, bring it in there, get their wristband, then someone else would bring in the paper and get their wristband.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
love that.
It's not like they were feeding the fancy food.
No, I loved that little section though. It was awesome. So much popcorn, nachos, hot dogs, soda. Oh yeah, perfect. But with that, we'll go ahead and transition into some more real hoopity hoops.
Transition.
Blah.
Have you given this podcast a listen?
I was going to use the board more today, but it feels like I don't have my desk set up the right way I need to, so I have a button that makes it low enough for me to be perfect for the sitting, but I haven't got the button set to do the proper raising because basically the biggest problem with this is not just the lighting of the whiteboard, it's also the concept that I'm taller than both the standing desk, the computer, like the monitor. Like this is one time where my height is quite annoying because if I was just a little shorter, this would be very easy to do. So that's just, I'll figure it out. It's first world problems, but it is kind of my first world problem right now.
I gotta run outside, grab a couple packages so they don't get stolen. I'll be right back.
Yes, do that.
We'll hold the fort down.
Caesar, while he's gone, we're going to talk about something massively important. All right. Massively important.
Hit me with it.
We have an NBA champion. Kind of.
Well, you know what?
Temporary champion.
More than just that, though. We have the next Bill Russell.
The next Bill Russell. We have the next Red Auerbach. So the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, the Emirates. Thank you for finding a way to get us into the sponsorship portion of this.
The IST, baby.
The IST. We are here. We have crowned yet another champion, temporary champion of the world-ish. Something. I don't know what to really call the team that wins the IST every year. I really have no idea. I was talking to somebody that
Isn't it just the Cup champion?
the
NBA Cup.
I guess that'd be the best way to do
IST
it.
isn't like an official name, right? It's because it's the NBA Cup.
No, the in-season tournament is just what it
Yeah.
originally was called when they announced it, and then they
Yeah, I
actually
think
named
that's-
it and
I
stuff.
think it's Cup champion.
But
NBA
now,
Cup
of course, it's the IST. It's ISTY. I'm interested in to see how much we care in the future. But it was a fun winner, at least. Who won this championship was funny for multiple reasons. How it happened, some might argue, not as interesting. We had some Trae Young shit talk when the Hawks beat the Knicks. That was fun for some of the playoffs of the in-season tournament. Then the Hawks got pretty, well beat by the Bucks, essentially with Giannis sort of stepping into MVP form now. As that team has sort of done a 180 on its start to its season. And then they get the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder beat the Mavericks, who were pretty lowly in their first IST game, the first IST playoff game. And then the Rockets, who were just a little undermanned.
Was it PJ was out?
Yeah, they were without the Thunder killer. One of the two things that we're going to talk about with this game, three things probably, I guess. The first one's easy. The Oklahoma City Thunder, this is real basketball talk. They might be the best shooting team that no one will trust in the playoffs, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think no matter how, even if they were the 73-9 Warriors, because they've never done anything, people are still going to not trust them, right?
Always that. Their youth is a big factor, but it's really when you break it down player by player, it's actually kind of miraculous because SGA is obviously an MVP level player. He's taken a massive step up in threes. He had a bad night for this particular game. When it looks bad for him, it does look bad. He's sort of been like this in his career, but this year it looked like it changed. You go Lou Dort. That's a guy who's been mostly a defensive player his whole career that has been better at shooting, but not great at that. Even Isaiah Joe, who's one of the best three-point shooters in the league, is one of those three-point shooters that one night he just can't miss, and the other night he's 1 for 10 or something. And they have a lot of guys who are on that same wavelength. Alex Caruso, who they just got. That was always sort of the reason I thought the Lakers were a little quick to bail on him. And I still think that was a poor move by the Lakers. But I think the reasoning was not entirely untrue of how much do you trust Alex Caruso's three-point shooting moving forward. And so I think it's a boom or bust three-point shooting team. Chet Holmgren, when he's healthy, same problem with him. He could be a dynamic player if he can truly master the three-point shot. But he's still very far away from that at this point, and he's not even playing at the moment.
I was going to say, is anyone trusting that he's ever going to be healthy?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I think for him, he's had a couple of unfortunate situations that are maybe hurting his reputation, but ultimately, I don't think we've quite got to that portion. And even if we do, look at Anthony Davis. He's 2 years basically removed from really having injuries that got him the label of being often injured. So sometimes you just got to develop into the body and then maintain it. But yeah, we've alluded to it. The other big storyline, the Milwaukee Bucks have won, which is funny for a lot of reasons. But the most important, Darvin Ham, Taurean Prince, back-to-back IST champions. They've brought the Lakers and the Bucks championships as only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has done before.
The Will Smith, the baseball Will Smith of the NBA Cup.
Yeah, kind of at this point. Darvin obviously being an assistant to Doc at this point. Some would not credit the assistant very much, which I don't know how much is fair or not fair. But it typically has not been done. And then Taurean Prince, I think maybe had 3 points last night, or maybe it's at 5 points. The first shot was a 3 from him, and then
those are the 5 most important points of that game.
I think he's been the best 3-point shooter so far in the NBA percentage-wise. So it's not like he's been bad this year either. But it's just funny to see that one happen. And then my final thing and my final takeaway, I've talked about it. I talked about it a lot more last year. I am still interested to see how these teams celebrate. Because after the game, they did the same thing the Lakers did. We're throwing a party. We're spraying champagne. They had it all set up like it was NBA championship. Confetti's down. Giannis is kind of playfully throwing the trophy around. Dame Lillard is now a champion of something technically, which is also like when LeBron and AD and the Lakers won it. Okay, all of those people have previous championships and careers that they can really hit. So it's funny they won it, but it doesn't add to the mockery necessarily, unless you're just trying to be a hater, right? For Dame Lillard, if he doesn't get the real NBA title, it is unfortunate because Giannis, Doc's got a title, I mean, these guys don't necessarily have the same hit out on their reputations as Dame does. And so if this is the high point of Dame's career, I feel very bad for him in a way, because I think a lot of people will be very, very, very mean about that moving forward. Maybe it'll always be the shot over Paul George in the playoffs, but the IST championship can be either a start of something beautiful for the Bucks, or it could be the start of even more memes for Mr. Lillard. Mr. Glorilla? Are we going to do past the rumor mill? Because she was there. She was courtside watching her alleged man.
Alleged.
I don't know. Hey, a lot of people say that the Dame was bad last year because there's going through a divorce. Now, I don't know. We'll see. Sneaking a couple things into the rundown here because things pop up unexpectedly sometimes. NBA has changed the All-Star format yet again, boys. If you haven't caught up, we're still picking teams, but now some other people are going to pick some teams, and then now it's going to be a tournament of 4 teams instead of like a whole other thing where it's just one game, and then no one cares about playing defense, and there's not going to be the Elam ending. Maybe I think it's just play to 40, so no Elam ending anymore.
They killed the one thing I've liked about the last couple of years.
So yeah, we're reinventing the wheel yet again in the National Basketball Association. 4-team single elimination tournament is how they're going to set this up. It's going to be 3 teams of all-stars. Those are going to be selected by Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kenny the Jet Smith. Candace Parker, WNBA legend and also Turner Broadcasting personality. She will be the coach or the general manager of the Rising Stars team. And I believe that's going to come from there's still going to be a Rising Stars game, and the winner of that will then be a part of the 4-team tournament, is kind of how it seemed like.
Okay.
They're all, like I said, the winner gets $125,000. I don't know if that's a piece or a team, probably a piece. But yet again, everybody will probably still not tune into All-Star Game, even if you get eyes on the other parts of All-Star. Still probably not going to tune in, but I guess the goal is that you hope that this is interesting enough for people to come in next year if you keep it, or maybe just change it again. I don't know. I mean, I think from a competitive spirit, I do want to see a tournament a little bit more. Still have my doubts. Because we talk a lot about the old heads and stuff, but really the young guys and the European guys really kind of have a distaste for the All-Star game as much as anybody. Like, there's really a lot of just this is going to be an interesting test, especially because Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny get to pick the teams of sort of who actually wants to compete and like who they think wants to compete. Because like they're probably going to pick Nikola last, right? I mean, they have to with everything. And Luka, I would never pick Luka in an All-Star game now. I know maybe the logic is that he's due one, but fuck, man, I've not watched that guy play and put a lot of effort in. You're probably not taking LeBron very high because like, is LeBron even going to want to play in that game? Like,
yeah.
Or how much is LeBron going to want to play? Or do you want to be responsible for adding minutes to his career? It's just going to be a funny thing. There's also been an unfortunate amount of injuries to start this season, so I'm also a little concerned about the wonkiness of the teams this first potential rollout. But we'll see how it ends up going on there. We were initially going to do just a This Week in Mavericks, or This Week in Spurs. But the Mavericks went and stole the headlines from the Spurs, at least single-handedly. I mean, we still have a Greg Popovich story to get to that's important. But the Mavericks have replaced Cynth Marshall. Of course, she's announced she's going to retire. She's the CEO. She was brought on to fix the bad culture in Dallas once an investigation had found that there were very, very inappropriate things happening in the Mavs front office, from watching porn in the office to direct sexual harassment of employees and probably things I'm forgetting. So
the bigger issue, I mean, obviously all those things are bad. The bigger issue being that nothing happened when those things were brought up, basically.
Yeah, of course. And so the culture, essentially needed to change rapidly. Mark Cuban, wanting to save the team and save his role in the NBA, kind of fixed all of that quickly by essentially appealing to everybody in the room.
It does not get talked enough about how obviously they're just like, pick any random woman that we can find that fits the bill, and then her coming in and trying to be like, oh, I've never even heard of Mark Cuban. Like,
she is one of the best vibe captains I think anyone's ever had. And I do think that because it seems like a lot of people are very positive about her and like her a lot.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know anything about what she's actually done. I just thought
she's really just been
a bad I didn't like that when you come out and just say there's no way you don't know who Mark Cuban is. Whatever.
So this wasn't even so she actually wasn't even that wasn't even a position prior to her being hired.
CEO of basketball, what was it?
No, they basically they made her CEO of the Mavericks. Essentially, they gave her the title that essentially, I guess, more or less Mark Cuban had, but not in name necessarily.
Okay.
But more or less, she's been the public face of the Mavericks in both their workplace culture programs and their community programs. So Cynth Marshall has essentially been, the face of the Mavericks in the local public eye, more or less, in her time at this role.
Gotcha.
Her replacement, Rick Welts, is an interesting candidate. I don't expect you guys to know anything about Rick Welts, but he is an NBA Hall of Famer, not as a player, as a contributor. He is an NBA lifer, and I mean that to the nth degree. He started with the Seattle Supersonics back in 1969, and then throughout the 70s, worked in the league offices in the 80s and the 90s.
Oh, shit.
His biggest credits, funny enough, he helped create the concept of All-Star Weekend, which has been overall a success. You have to remember, All-Star Weekend is still a very profitable thing.
Pulls in the most ratings of their whole year outside of the playoffs, right?
If I object to any ratings talk, I have to object to all ratings talk. So you'd have to look at that and to prove that.
Well, I don't think it does poorly, or else they wouldn't still be doing it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so the thing is it's kind of a big economic thing for the place they go. That's really the thing. Is All-Star Weekend
is it the same thing as when they tell me the Super Bowl and the Olympics are going to be, and they don't really do that?
No, well, unfortunately, there's a different tie. This is a weekend of celebration. I believe there's a documentary about it now. Maybe this has died off a little bit over time, but it has to do with more or less, the Black influence of Black Americans in the NBA. Historically, NBA All-Star Weekend has often been a celebratory place where it'll be treated like the Super Bowl to a lot of Black Americans, where they're going to go wherever All-Star Weekend is, and they're going to have a great time, and that's going to be their time. Has this maybe died off in younger generations? I think that's very possible. This is something that I heard like more older folks talking about. So perhaps it's not the same as it once was.
It's the same conversation with any of these All-Star games, especially this was a big thing for baseball too, of like it used to be this is the only time you could see a player from the National League play. Because you just don't play international, they didn't do baseball until 90.
And celebrity is a big part of this too. So what celebrities want to leech off of these weekends? And for MLB, it always feels a little forced.
I can
Like
talk
they're-
as much shit about all that as I want, but if anyone invited me to play at the Celebrity All-Star Game, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Trying my hardest.
Absolutely, yeah, of course. And celebrity All-Star Game, I think, has always been a fun thing, even if it's not the most watchable. Like, I think that's always been a great pull for people, for the
I'll
audience.
take that over half the bowl games that are getting shoved down my throat.
Oh boy, I'm ready to talk bowl games. We've already got one bowl game in the books too. But yeah, so back to Rick Welts here for a second. He's also one of the bigger people to have marketed the Dream Team. That's a pretty big note. He's a part of launching the WNBA, and he's openly gay. Has been for quite a while, since the early 90s, I believe. He was living with a partner who passed away. There was a lot of bit on his Wikipedia. I didn't quite vet it out and go that deep. Like I said, Hall of Famer is a contributor. Still has been working with the NBA. So that all of that was to say why he's a Hall of Famer. Here is his credentials to have led him to being the Mavericks' new CEO. He was the Suns. He was a part of the Suns organization in the 2000s before moving back to Northern California area, where he, back up to the Northwest, Pacific Northwest, essentially North Cal, to where he could work with the Golden State Warriors in 2011. If you guys, think about your roll back your dial, where the Warriors were in 2011, they had a young Steph Curry. I believe they had just drafted a young Klay Thompson, and obviously we're about to change a lot of their franchise's fortunes. One of the bigger things that Rick Welts oversaw was getting the Warriors from the Oracle Arena into the brand stinking new Chase Center, which has essentially been the more state-of-the-art model example of NBA arenas.
Which obviously is a big thing for the Mavs moving forward.
And that is where we do most of the talking.
So is trying to win 5 championships.
Yeah, I mean, look, what they did was awesome. I don't think Rick Welts is going to be here in any capacity that's that impactful to what Nico Harrison's doing on the basketball operations side. But I think he's going to be monumental in the...
You think he listed Clay as a reference?
I mean, at this point, it's funny to me. The Mavs owner in puppet in charge or whatever.
Boy?
No, yeah. What's his name? Fuck, Dumont or Dupont? No, it's Dumont. He's a Dumont, not a Dupont, right? Yeah, Patrick Dumont. Yeah,
Dumont.
I believe. He basically, kind of cited the winners thing and the resume I just listed to you. So I think the Mavs just went after a really big fish for a lot of reasons, but mostly because of the new arena. I think it's pretty obvious the Mavericks are in a weird position when it comes to a new arena, because not only does the city of Dallas have some weird stuff going on, I don't know how much you guys pay attention to local stuff, but city of Dallas is kind of undergoing some weird stuff with our mayor flipped parties in the middle of his office. The voters passed legislation to allow them to sue the local council for not doing what they're supposed to. And they've already started this by basically putting a gun to their head and saying, fix homelessness right now. So there's a lot happening budgetarily in the city of Dallas, and the pecking order for the Mavericks arena is an interesting one, because it's also been an arena that was a big part of the skyline when it was built, the current one, but has in years since been kind of buried by other skyscrapers and buildings around it. So I have some questions. We've talked about this. Either I have on the Hoopla by myself or with you guys before. There's big lots of land that Mark Cuban owns across the highway. Could be perfect. It would put them back in the where you could take a picture from Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge or whatever, or Margaret Hunt, whatever the fuck that bridge is called. And you put the Mavericks still sort of in that frame in the lower corner back where they were, and everybody's happy. The Dallas team stays in Dallas. Because obviously if they go to Irving, it's not the end of the world. If they go to the site where the Cowboys Stadium once stood, it's not the end of the world. It's literally the cusp of Irving. It's probably the line of Irving and Dallas proper.
If they're not on the dart line, I might not ever see them.
I mean, That is technically still around the dart line. I don't know if there is I guess there is a drop-off point around that.
I mean, you would
area,
take victory.
but they would have to fix
You'd
that.
take victory, at least for if you're talking about like where the Mavs home land on the other side, right? It would just be you take victory and just walk under the bridge.
Oh, you're talking about if it went under, they would have to. They would have to do that.
But
well,
the other locations
they would have to make some decisions, and they would have to. But most of these arenas do need to really take into effect how can they be useful to the local economy 24/7. That's been a big driver in a lot of these conversations recently. And that's the biggest part of this conversation is how the fuck do they handle how do you handle all of what I just told you guys about the city of Dallas, about the options they already have, and the fact that probably the biggest factor in all of it is whether legalized gambling can happen before they break ground, essentially. And I don't know the answer. I mean, if you look at the politicians, you would think that there's enough driver to get it done, but it looks like potentially the lobbying from Louisiana and Oklahoma is a little too strong still. You know, I know a lot of people in LA and California believe that they can't legalize gambling because of Vegas, you know? So, I mean, this is how our country works. And so I am interested to see sort of what gives first. Do the Mavericks need a new arena and get one done with the city of Dallas? Or does a bigger casino ordinance, or legislation change gambling and perhaps force the Adelsons to do what they want to do all along and build a super casino / arena, the first of its kind, right?
Right.
So we'll see. Final news of Hoopla. Greg Popovich is back. Kind of, right? He's not fully back.
No, but I mean, this is a pretty good sign based off of Greg versus the nothing that we knew was happening for a while.
Yeah.
So.
And funny enough, the whole thing would have probably gone mostly unnoticed. I mean, I don't necessarily engulf a lot of sports media all the time like I used to. So maybe, hopefully ESPN did their stuff. Hopefully the NBA shows kind of talked about it. But for the most part, I only really saw this announcement, this first press conference back for Pop, because it went viral on a couple of platforms that are known for their virality of rage bait.
NBA
Centel.
It wasn't Centel this time. Centel's up to no good again, as always, but not this time.
Adnan Schefter.
Yeah, they're so
All Stack Sports.
Pop obviously still going to be Pop forever. And obviously we had not spoken or heard from Greg Popovich from the public since the presidential election.
Yeah.
So at some point in the press conference, he either was asked or volunteered the information. Doesn't really matter because it might as well been either option. And he went in on Donald Trump and people voting for him and whatnot. It was nothing too crazy. It was most of the same stuff that Pop has always sort of felt and been public about. Obviously funny because it went viral and got a lot of publicity because, this is happening during the ratings conversation popping up again. Ratings conversation being like herpes to sports talk. It just kind of inflames for a bit. You put some medicine on, it goes back away. So this is just
the Cowboys. Sorry.
No, the Cowboys are what's worse. They're super herpes.
Syphilis, gonorrhea.
Yeah, what's the one that makes you go crazy slowly?
Syphilis.
That one.
I've heard.
Yeah. So they say. It just was funny. It was a lot of rage culture, a lot of this is why the NBA doesn't get ratings.
I didn't hear about any of that. All I knew was that the thing he said about the doctors wanting him gone.
Oh, the doctor's not wanting him to play?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, and maybe that's because I do venture
I'm not in the
political stuff a little more than I need to, or I have friends that do and send me stuff.
Also,
especially if it's politics and basketball coming together.
As I'm transitioning over to my new phone, although I currently have two right now, like an idiot.
Oh, you got two phones?
Yeah, one for the no, but I didn't put X on the new one, so I haven't really looked at it until today for a while.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, look,
And
we'll
shift it
probably
out
have a
there.
better platform at some point. Grok is really big right now.
That's just Twitter's.
Oh, buddy, Grok AI is a full picture generator now, and buddy,
Kill me.
it's gotten tough.
Yeah.
Actually, I almost uploaded a picture of Torian Prince and Darvin Ham snuggled up together in bed. Not great. It looks really stupid, but you get the idea. I created one the other night of Jerry being a vampire. I created one of AT&T Stadium getting destroyed. Aaron Rodgers getting a shot, vaccine shot. Yeah. So it Grok AI it's not great. It's not awful. It seems to be decent for sort of jersey swapping if you don't care about the details. Like, I'm just telling you.
Is that's like
type in
5
created.
minutes on-
Just
fi-
go to
5 seconds on Photoshop. Will get you that same thing.
go to Grok AI. Type in
It doesn't
create
have to
an
look like a
image of
weird
whatever you want.
Disney cartoon.
I put the Teletubbies in Syria and it did it, and it even gave them. It even gave
I'm
them
not
buckets.
doubting
It
that
was
it
really
can do
fucked up.
it. I just don't like the way it looks, and I feel like that's a whole other conversation.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put Jerry Jones in an Eagles jersey.
All right, that's a worthy cause. I created one of LeBron giving Skip Bayless, who is the homeless, money.
Jesus.
All right, well that's hoops.
Yeah, I don't know where to go with that.
Well, that's all there is. We're done with the IST, so now the Boston Celtics are no longer the champions of the world. The Milwaukee Bucks are now the champions, I guess.
I guess we haven't really discussed. We're probably not going to be recording a week from today.
Yeah, obviously, we're probably going to take a couple weeks off here. So we're going to set up the college football well. We're going to set up the pro foosball well.
So
Basketball, we're basically just we're going to really get the meat and the potatoes of basketball started when we get back.
I'm gonna forward promote Dunk the Halls.
Dunk the halls with
Which
lots of.
Spurs play that night at 7 Central. So very good chance.
It's not-
I'm
9 game?
I believe
Spurs.
so.
I think the Spurs are. I think they're the morning game.
That
Did
probably makes
it
more
work?
sense.
Caesar.
Oh yeah.
All right, try to show your camera. Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh, they put him in the uniform. All right,
Like, he's
DM me
got-
that.
he's got,
in the-
crappy
DM
pads,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
DM
right.
that.
11 a.m. I might be on here watching
Okay.
that. We'll see.
Well, I am going to be making sure that I am using this time to influence my
it's
young nephew to
horrible.
watch basketball through
Disney
you know,
characters.
Disney characters.
It's like Jerry Jones mixed with Emperor Palpatine when you actually look up close and personal.
I mean,
Oh yeah, there's some wild ones. I was able to completely get a Luca one, Luca with himself, and it was like Luca normal, but then like somehow like Luca, if he had like a twin brother that like didn't get like Luca clearly took a lot of the genetics in the womb, and like this guy got like the sad like all the L's. He just took all the genetic L's in the situation, and I didn't even ask for that. It just gave it to me.
We've already kind of seen Jerry as Palpatine before.
The Sith Lord rises.
All
right.
Let's
Let's dismount.
Let's get out of this guy and get into another guy.
Woo, whoa, hey, yo.
I'm confident every day, to be honest.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
You appreciate his compliment?
Say again?